Hey folks, how you doing? Brian Blessing in Las Vegas. Glad to be with you here at bangthebook.com. And we've got a great weekend of NFL football coming your way. And as always, we try to tell you about the line moves, where the number's going to go, and get you ahead of the curve. Don't forget, follow along on Twitter at Bang the Book, and always listen to the Sports Betting Podcast. Phenomenal information here at bangthebook.com. All right, let's get to it. In the NFL, how about Brock Osweiler? He's going to be the starting quarterback for Denver as they take their act on the road to Philadelphia. 7.5-point favorite. Eagles now up to 8. Total on the game is 43. Denver's been one of those teams, if you identify it early enough to get ahead of the curve. They're good at home. They're horrific on the road. So the line movement seems to be justified here. And the Eagles maybe get even better as they make the trade and they pick up Jay Ajayi from the Dolphins. The Rams are 3.5 on the road at the Giants. Imagine that. Would you have thought of that at the beginning of the year? There were people talking about the Giants as a contender in the NFC. And the Rams, 3.5 on the road, even the hook above a key number, 43.5. They're betting the under in this spot. Bring the total down to 41.5. Tampa Bay's at New Orleans. Saints on a roll right now. And you know what? Breeze has been able to use a running game with Ingram, and Kamara has been an eye-opener for this team. They haven't even needed Willie Snead, who's been out back in the lineup, but they've got weapons. Total on the game is 50. Winston obviously can sling it around, but Tampa Bay would love to establish the run in this game. They just haven't been able to do it this year. Atlanta at Carolina. Carolina's a 2-point favorite. Little money on the Falcons. It's down to 1.5. And the total slightly coming to the under 44, down to 43.5. Indy is at Houston. They're betting the over in this game. The total was 48. It's been bet up to 50. Houston, a 13-point favorite. Don't sleep on these guys. Oh, they got to be frustrated. Giving one away at Seattle. The defense just fell apart at the end of that game. But boy, Watson's been great. This team's putting points on the board. Not just DeAndre Hopkins. Don't sleep on the return of Will Fuller on the other side. Houston now turning into a dead-over team. Of course, J.J. Watt's out of the lineup. Arizona's at San Francisco. Arizona 2, down to a 1-point favorite on the road. Total on the game is 39. Jimmy Garoppolo, what do we do? Do we see this guy in action? The Niners make the big trade here for just a second-round pick. They could really audition him the end of the year and see if they found themselves a franchise quarterback. Washington is at Seattle. Seattle's a 7-point favorite. Total's 45. Kirk Cousins and this Redskins team frustrating. Jordan Reed gets hurt again. Jamison Crowder's been more involved in this offense. But you think of that game again last week with Seattle and Houston. Your wildest dreams did you ever see, envision seeing a shootout like that up in Seattle? Kansas City and Dallas, this is a pick. The total is 51. Certainly the game of the week in the NFL. No Ezekiel Elliott in this spot. So now it falls on Prescott's shoulders. Have to throw the ball. Now Bryant's got to emerge a little bit more. Running back Alfred Morris probably get McFadden activated into that game. The Sunday night game, Oakland is at Miami. Oakland 2.5-point favorite. They're up to 3. Now don't forget, Oakland, after getting smoked by the Bills, went down to Sarasota, never flew back home. A couple of days of practice in Sarasota before swinging over to Miami for this game. Total's 43.5. It's up to 44. And the Dolphins again, they traded Jay Ajayi. So it's Kenyon Drake. I don't know. Cutler maybe gets back in the lineup here. But the Dolphins, they're still kind of in it. But it's a bizarre set of circumstances what's going on in Miami. And then Detroit's at Green Bay. Detroit's a 2.5-point favorite. Total's 43. Detroit, I mean, literally gave the game away against the Steelers. 482 yards of offense. No running game. Stafford threw for 411 yards. But literally it was in the red zone where the Lions just couldn't kick the door down and win that football game. They really should have beaten the Steelers in that game. Now, Green Bay with Hundley, no Rodgers, extra time to prepare for this game. We'll see if the Packers play better. And you give a backup quarterback time to get reps with the ones. Stands to reason he should play better. But obviously the drop-off is massive to the point where you're seeing the Lions a 2.5-point favorite on the road. Always fun. Looking forward to the NFL. Bang the Book Sports Betting Podcast. Phenomenal information. Follow on Twitter at Bang the Book. I'm Brian Blessing in Las Vegas. We've got you covered with college football, too, and another video coming up shortly right here. BangTheBook.com.